Good evening. Can I have a motion to close the agenda meeting?
Move. Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney. Yes. Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. I'd like to call to order the December 16th, 2013 regular meeting of the Lacey Township Board of Education. Adequate notice of the meeting was forwarded by the Asbury Park Press and the Beacon on January 8, 2013 by posting the notice in the Forked River Post Office and the Lenoka Harbor Post Office, and by filing a copy of the notice to the Lacey Township Clerk as required by the Open Public Meeting Law. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. What is this?
It's the next page after, it's the page after that one.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir. On to page 38. Move that the board approve the minutes and the appropriate attachments of the agenda regular meeting held on November 18, 2013.
Move. Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
I abstain.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Move that the board approve the minutes of the private session held on November 18, 2013.
Move. Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
I abstain again.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. On to page 60. Move to approve payment of bills totaling $6,367,129.38.
I'll move it.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Through the adoption of this resolution,
Move. Second.
thank you. Roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. On to old business, page 61. Item A, Attorney's Report. Mr. Stein.
Nothing additional to report on that.
Thank you, sir. Item B, Student Representative Comments. Students? Hello.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce the SGA Vice President, Mackenzie Bidwell. She's filling in for Pat tonight. This past Saturday, we had our holiday lip dub. It was a lot of fun, and it was a huge success. So thank you to everybody who came out. This week, we have our Holiday Spirit Week. Today was Christmas Movie Character Day. Tomorrow is Present Day, dress as a present and bring in a present for the food bank. Wednesday, we split up all the classes. Seniors are the Clauses, juniors are elves, sophomores are reindeer, freshmen are candy canes, and teachers are gingerbread men. Thursday is Ugly Sweater Day. Can't do a Spirit Week without Ugly Sweater Day. And Friday is School Spirit with a dash of Christmas. Thank you to all of our students who brought in food and toys and clothes for the food bank. Pat and I delivered everything to the food bank a couple weeks ago, and it was incredible to see how appreciative they were of everything that we had here at the high school. Our December featured teacher is Mr. Jim Dickhouse. Congratulations to him. The holiday concert is tomorrow at 7 o'clock. The band and choir have been working extremely hard since September. And unfortunately, the German classes couldn't attend, but they were going to go to a Krampus parade this past Saturday. But due to the weather, they cannot attend. And this Friday is the TV studio. Every year they do a holiday show. So if you have time throughout the day, tune into TV, or channel 14. Correct, Mitchell? 21? All right, TV 21.
NHS induction is January 9th at 6:30 p.m. This year, 70 students will be inducted, 5 seniors and 65 juniors.
This time I'd like to have Sarah Fedak join me at the podium. Sarah Fedak is a freshman who is incredibly active in the school and her community. In school, she takes part in clubs such as Political Action, Interact, and Peer Mediation. Last year, she received the Hands-on Heroes Award for her courageous work during the hardships created by Superstorm Sandy. This Thanksgiving, Sarah volunteered her time serving hot and hearty meals to people. Sarah helps individuals in need when they need it most. Sarah is also extremely active in her church. Each week she volunteers to teach Sunday school. An opportunity comes her way, she doesn't hesitate to offer her assistance. Sarah not only takes on all these responsibilities, but she is very modest, never asking for anything in return, which is a true definition of a giving heart. Congratulations, Sarah. And I just want to wish everybody a nice holiday and a happy, safe New Year's. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, on to item C, report of the acting superintendent, Dr. Clark.
Thank you, President Schubiger, and welcome, Mackenzie. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Luke, thank you for your report. That was excellent. Before I begin my comments, I would like to introduce Frank Holman to present the audit report.
Thank you very much. I do have a very brief presentation. We have a very favorable audit report tonight. This report has been reviewed with your Finance Committee in detail. So tonight I thought I would just touch on a couple of your highlights of your audit. It's also been timely filed with the state of New Jersey. But I did want to just remind the board that there's really three different areas that we report on. One is the fairness of your financial statements. Number two is your compliance with state laws and regulations. And then number three is your single audit. Because we get about $30 million in federal and state aid, we need to check your compliance to make sure that that money was spent in accordance with those grants. But all three areas, we have favorable report tonight. Your numbers, first of all, and that is your financial statements. Your balance sheet at June 30th, 2013 showed $57,520,000 in assets. Your liabilities were $47,282,000, so that's very good. Your assets exceeded your liabilities. You had a net position of about $10.2 million. That compared with $11,998,000 the year before. So we're down from the year before, but that's because we incurred a loss for the most recent year. And really what happened, how that loss was generated, is that our revenues were really flat compared to the year before. You did need to raise the tax levy last year by about $1 million, but that was because our federal and state aid was offset, was lowered by that same $1 million. And then your expenses remained about the same. They were up only 1% as compared to the year before. So your revenues were flat, your expenses increased by 1%, and for that reason we had that loss of about $1.7 million. So that did lower our net asset position for the district, but we're still in good shape. You were able to pay bonds down last year also of about $3.4 million. So your bonded indebtedness is now reduced to about $45 million at June 30th, 2013. So financially, our balance sheet is in good shape. You did incur a loss, but you have enough equity there. It's not a big concern. And then the other two areas, we had nothing to report to the state on compliance issues. Your budget had a $1.9 million favorable variance, which I think is your biggest compliance issue, that you're required to live within that budget by law, and you did. And after you complied, you had $1.9 million as a favorable variance. Another issue that the state is very concerned with is your surplus position. And right now, the state doesn't enable us to maintain more than 2% of our expenditures in surplus, and we had less than that at June 30th, 2013. So there was no excess surplus position at all at June 30th, 2013. You were below that 2%. And then finally, your single audit, which is your state and federal grant money, we had no questionable costs and nothing to report to Washington or to Trenton in that area. So compliance-wise, we had no recommendations to make, and I think financially, the district's in good shape at June 30th. If there are any questions at all, I'd like to thank Mr. Savage and his office for their cooperation.
Thank you.
And Monday Night Football will be home in time. Thank you. Any questions at all? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Hummer. We
it.
appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Stay warm out there.
Good night, kid. Have a good holiday.
So I hope that everyone had an opportunity to pick up the copy of the superintendent's report, and while I wish that we could highlight every single page in one meeting, we'd probably be here till next summer. But one thing I felt important to talk about tonight and point out is on page 14, where Principal King commends 402 middle school students who achieved honor roll for the first marking period. 402 students. That's an impressive number. And of those 402 students, 132 of those students earned straight A's. So that is no easy feat. We are very, very proud of those students, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on them to see what they do for the second, third, and fourth marking period. And Mr. Hancho, I'm going to say right now that looks like you've got some high achievers heading your way to the high school, so that's great news. And that's a good transition. So how about Seniors of the Month?
Thank you, Dr. Clark. If I may invite the board to step on our side over here. The Students of the Month for December. And first, I'd like to invite up Alexis Stevens. Ready to go?
Hello, I'm Mr. Hanshu, and welcome to Senior Spotlight December, where we meet our outstanding seniors of the month. Joining me now is Alexis Stevens, who is ranked in the top 15% of her.
That was weird. Hold on a second.
Should hit something over here.
The projector, I think, just went out because it's not even going back to the other page. Hold on.
Is there, should it be video input, projector input?
It was going. Projector on. You didn't touch
No,
anything. What?
no.
Let me just see. I think maybe the bulb may have just decided to go at that exact moment. That would have been horrible.
Should I act it out? I could always wing it, yeah, just give it a second though.
It's just making noises back there. The light is going on for when I go into the menus, but it's just decided to.
Would it be this video input button possibly?
No, I mean.
No? We just hit it just in case.
Yeah.
Something's blinking.
No, I don't think so. It is program mute flashing. Let me try that.
I'm sorry, it just decided, it's back there making this noise, chunk, 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 and it's not going. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, we can listen to it if you want to, because the audio is the main important part where you talk, that you ask questions.
Sure, you can play the audio, and then, yeah, I'll add a little things to that. This is picture mute. I think we got something. I don't know.
The screen up now.
Hello, I'm Mr. Hanshu. Welcome to Senior Spotlight December, where we are seniors of the month. Joining me now is Justin Stevens, who's ranked in the top 15% of her class. Can you tell us about some of your involvement in student government as well as other organizations?
It was bizarre, it wasn't showing the desktop, and then I'm not gonna worry about it.
It's national, like compete with other schools. I'm also involved in the yearbook club, so Mr. Giarmangelo helps us with that, and he's done with that, as well as I'm involved in Interact, and we help with like the food bank.
That's excellent. So you stay very busy, and also those pretzels are pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Can you tell us about some of the involvement activities outside of school?
Yep, I work at Captain's Inn, and I work there a few days out of the week, so it's pretty fun.
So it keeps you busy outside of school also?
Yes.
All right. You're also involved with the MD class here in school. Can you tell us about some of your student internship?
Sure. I help them during their gym period, so we like either walk around the building or like we'll fundraise during like lunches to help them like go on trips.
That's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
How about your future plans?
Let's see. For my future, I would like to do something with architecture or interior design because I'm creative. So I feel like I would have fun with that.
That's great. Well, congratulations on Senior of the Month, and good luck in the future. Congratulations, Alexis, on selection of Senior of the Month. We'll be right back with TJ Phillips.
And Alexis is here with her mom and dad, so we have a round of applause for them. And if I may invite down TJ Phillips.
Welcome back to Senior Spotlight December. Now joining us is Senior of the Month, TJ Phillips. TJ is ranked in the top 5% of his class and is the National Honor Society president this year. Can you tell us about your involvement in NHS and your role as president?
Well, NHS has helped open up some leadership opportunities for me that not only look good on college resumes, but I'll also be able to carry into my future life and use it in my future.
That's great. You're also a varsity letter winner here, a 4-year varsity letter winner across country and track. Can you tell us about your athletic career here at Lacey Township?
Well, running cross country and track for 4 years has really developed my character and it's helped me to push through obstacles I never thought I'd be able to push through. And I'll be honest, it's also been a really fun and rich and rewarding experience. And I encourage everyone who isn't involved in athletics in Lacey to go out and try a sport because you never know, you'll be like it.
That's great. So you're involved academically and athletically. How about some of your extracurricular activities outside of school?
Well, as you said before, I'm in the NHS. I'm also in cross country, winter track, and spring track. But also between 25 and 30 hours a week, I work as a pizza delivery man, delivering pizzas to people.
So people love to see you come through your front door, I bet. Huh? That's awesome. Hey, future plans. What are your future plans?
Well, I plan on attending a 4-year university for the major actuarial science, which is using statistics to determine risk management for insurance and finance companies. And I plan on being an actuary in the future.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations, TJ, on your selection as Senior of the Month. We'll be right back with the Vocational Senior of the Month, Tyler Dunning.
And TJ's accompanied by his girlfriend, so we can have a round of applause for her, please. All right, next up, Tyler Dunning.
Welcome back to Senior Spotlight December. We're in meet our outstanding seniors of the month. Joining me now is our vocational senior of the month for December, Tyler Dunning. Tyler, can you tell us a little bit about the program that you're in the vocational school?
I'm going to be Greek Vocational Center for Culinary Arts.
What made you decide to go into culinary arts?
Well, when I was younger, I watched a lot of cooking shows, especially the show Cooking. That was my favorite show. And I took the cooking class here at the high school sophomore year. When I found I could further my education and do this as a career, I jumped right on it.
All right, what would you suggest? I have a nice sandwich for lunch. How would I dress it up a little bit?
So I was actually
Maybe I can do that. Excellent, excellent. What are some of the things you do outside of school?
I didn't do much outside of school. Usually on my computer, I cook a lot at home, obviously, and I read.
All right, future plans, so right down the road, what are you going to be doing?
I plan on attending the restaurant school of Walnut Hill in Philadelphia for culinary arts, and I got accepted there after starting in August.
That's excellent. Congratulations, Tyler, on your selection as Senior of the Month. Thank you for joining us on Senior Spotlight December. We'll see you next month.
Congratulations to this, our seniors month. We also have Tyler's parents. We have on behalf of the high school, happy holidays, happy New Year to everybody, and Dr. Clark, thank you very much.
Thank you. Once again, congratulations to our seniors of the month, Thomas, Alexis, and Tyler. And I see that you're brave in going out into the cold. Thank you for joining us. Have a great holiday and congratulations. And congratulations to Sarah Fedek. And I don't think we acknowledged, where is Sarah? Where are you, Sarah? Are your parents here with you? Yeah. Oh, there you are. So congratulations to you. Have a great holiday.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you for coming.
Last Wednesday, at our request, the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office conducted a canine operation for the detection of illegal drugs. I did want to point out that although the search that took place last Wednesday did receive some attention, this isn't the first time that the Lacey Township School District has had drug dogs searching our hallways. It was quite a few years ago, actually more than quite a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago, but it is not the first time. And again, this was a coordinated effort between the Lacey Township School District and the Prosecutor's Office. As many of you know, Prosecutor Coronado has made the fight against drugs one of his top priorities, and the Lacey Township School District, the Board of Education, we are all committed to fighting this fight with him. I anticipate that these searches will become a routine effort, a routine practice, I should say, of all schools in Ocean County, not just Lacey Township High School. And it's going to be joined by other efforts, such as the program that took place last Thursday night in Stafford Township. It was a parent forum, and very much like the program that will be taking place on February 27th here in Lacey Township High School, and that is going to be our second annual Red Night Out. And more information will be forthcoming about that program, and information will be posted on our website as well. So though every program and every initiative differs slightly, the objective is always the same, and that's to provide awareness and education for our students and our families so that together we can combat the harmful effects of drugs and alcohol. And we will continue to provide as many programs as we possibly can because it's an important topic. Getting back to the search that took place last Wednesday, I am happy to report that nothing was found in the search that was conducted last Wednesday. So I felt it important to share that information. So once again, I anticipate that these searches will continue. It's not just going to be in Lacey Township High School. Prosecutor Coronado has vowed to get into every high school, possibly even every middle school in Ocean County. So if that search were to take place at the high school or the middle school, just like we are doing tonight, and I anticipate that some board members will have some comments as well, we will let the public know the outcome and the success or the failure, because not all programs run perfectly or smoothly, but we will certainly report to the public as to how those were conducted and any other information that might be pertinent. So to transition away from the high school and onto the elementaries, we're not quite at the midpoint, but we're approaching the midpoint of our school year, and I'm happy to say that so far our full-day kindergarten program is running very smoothly. I know that the teachers continue to be ecstatic about the program. Our administrators are happy about it as well. And in January, at the January board meeting, I hope to be able to provide a status report. I plan on talking to some parents, talking some more to our teachers, and talking a little bit more to our teachers, and be able to provide the public with some information and some statistics on how we're doing and moving forward, any changes that we might implement. But so far, so good, and I'm happy to report that. At our October meeting, if you recall, we spent some time talking about Mr. Quist, and December is Mr. Quist's last board meeting, and I think I speak for all of us when I say that he will be greatly missed. Mr. Quist, I don't think your time for public service is over. I hope that we will see you here again one day. In the 6 or 7 years that I've worked with you, I've always enjoyed your company, your advice, your listening ear. And one thing I can say about Mr. Quist is that he has always had the best interests of the students in mind. And for that, we are all grateful in the district. And one thing I wanted to say is that now that he's going to have all of this extra time, we're hoping that Mr. Quist possibly produces a sequel to his first book, Quistery. So no pressure, no pressure, but you are going to have some extra time. So we hope that that you'll be able to add to this. But good stuff. Great team player, great collaborator, and I am truly going to miss you. So good luck. And I don't know, something tells me you'll be back. Can't stay away. We'll see.
Thanks.
And finally, last 2 weeks have been filled with concerts and holiday shows. And our student representatives mentioned tomorrow night is the high school concert. Many of the concerts took place last week. Unfortunately, because of the bad weather, Mill Ponds is taking place tonight, so I couldn't attend that one. And I know some board members probably would have liked to have attended the Mill Pond concert, but I know several of our administrators were able to attend. So with that, I want to wish all of our students, our families, our staff a happy holiday, a happy new year, and hopefully the bad weather that we've had the last couple of weeks isn't an indication of what the rest of the winter is going to be like, but I don't know. There seems to be a storm brewing for tomorrow morning, so we'll see how that goes. But be safe out there. Happy New Year, and we will see you all in January. Thank you, President Schmidt.
Thank you, Superintendent Clark. Okay, we're going to move on to item D, board committee reports. Anyone have a report tonight?
I have the finance.
Thank you, Mr. Martinak, you're up.
All right, thank you. The Finance Committee met on December 2nd, and the largest item on the agenda was our audit report. What Mr. Holman summarized in about 2 minutes up here this evening. We spent an hour or more on going through page by page, going over several issues. One of the things that was interesting on this year's team, one of the CPAs that works for that firm is actually a Lacey High School alum and lives in Lacey Township and pays taxes. So he had a personal stake in this audit. But I'm happy to say, as you heard Mr. Holman report, the audit came out very well. They had no findings with regard to the processes that are used. They do testing for how bills are paid and how the money is budgeted and moved from different accounts and tracked and traced back to state budget line items, which are, it's quite an extensive package of line items that make up a budget. But we went through all that kind of stuff. We also went over, the bigger picture issues in terms of our assets and liabilities. And once again, it was a clean report. There are no recommendations for any changes in the processes of the business office, so that was good to hear. And that's kudos to Mr. Savage and his crew. They mind the books pretty well over there. And so that was the biggest part of our Finance Committee meeting. We got an update on the status of the phones, which by now, if you've called the schools or gone to the website, you see the new phone system is up and working. And now we have phones in the classroom so that if teachers need to call a parent, they don't have to go down to the office to do it. They've got phones in the classroom. In an emergency, they have phones in the classroom. So that was the last piece of our IT project that's finally come to fruition. So we wrapped that up. Talked a little bit about some security costs. We talked about the budget timetable. We're supporting a resolution on the agenda tonight to ask the state to try to push out the budget timetable because unlike just about any other governmental unit, we need to have our budget done 3.5 months before the year even starts. And now that it doesn't go to the voters in April, there's no need for that early of a budget deadline, especially when the state doesn't come out with its draft budget and give you your state aid figures till the last week of February, and you're supposed to have a budget together the first week of March. So we're going to hopefully endorse that motion, that resolution tonight on our agenda, and hopefully the state will take it to heart if enough school districts push for it. But in lieu of that, we also talked about what's the budget calendar look like, assuming that doesn't change starting in January, what things we're going to look at what time, and what calendar, kind of what we're going to do in the different meetings leading up to the budget being submitted. And that was it for our Finance Committee. Thank you, Mr. Schuberger.
Thank you, sir. I think that concludes our board committee reports at this point in time. So we'll move on to item E, which is residents of the community. Yes, sir. Oh, you know what? Excuse me one second, Mr. Moss. I don't mean to interrupt, but students, I want to give you the opportunity to get home and start doing your homework. I know this is usually the time we do that, and I forgot.
No problem.
You can thank Mr. Martin now.
Thank you, Mr. Carney, for reminding us.
Thank you so much for your commitment and your comments.
Absolutely.
Okay. Have a good night. Okay. Take care, guys. Mr. Moss, I apologize. Continue.
That's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to rebuttal some of the stuff that Mr. Marnack said at the last council meeting, Board of Education meeting, I'm sorry. I'm one of those people that do go to the township meetings and tell the people to look at the Board of Education to find out where their tax money is spent. And I like to think that when I get up there and say it, I know what I'm talking about, so I brought some of the figures with me that I couldn't have presented last week because if you recall, about 2 years ago, the last thing on the agenda meeting was to let the public come back up and speak again. And according to the rules, you don't have that anymore, so we can't say anything. We have to wait a month to come back and say something, so I'd like to say it now if I can. On the, where did the budget, going to the budget. On the total budget, 63% of the, 63, I'm sorry, it's a little bit less, it's 60, I want to get my facts straight. 62.8% of the money that I spend for taxes goes to the school board, which boiled down to $1.03 per $100 of assessed value. 21.9%, which is quite a drop less, which is 36.2 cents, we send to the county, plus the three little other things that the county throws in that they don't want to blame on the county. They just want to do it like open space, library tax, but it all goes to the county. and the township only gets 15, I'm sorry, township's percentage is a little bit lower, 15.3%. Now, when I get up at a township meeting and I tell the people to come to the school board to see where their taxes are going, I consider 63% of what my money's going is the right place to tell people to come and look and find out where my taxes are. And I ask them to please, if they're gonna complain to the county or complain to the school board. Don't come to the city council, because they pay their taxes there, but they don't realize that it's all they realize, but they don't come to the school board, as you can see, to ask where it's going here. And I get to see where it's going by every school board meeting. I see how you vote 10, 15 things on one word, and that's it. Another question I have. 1 second, please. I don't disagree with Mr. Marnick's figures about the increases in the amount of increases the taxes went through for the city. The township has doubled its taxes. This township, the school went to a certain percentage. But you said that the school system only went $5 million over the past 6 years, where the town went something like $6 million. But what happened to the $8 million that you used from the solar panels? That don't include in your $5 million? Because it seems like to me, a citizen, that you had $8 million extra that was in your budget that just didn't show up until you paid for it. So you, not paid for it, but it went in there somehow, but it wasn't included in that figure, which I look at it and I say you had an extra $13 million, not 5. I'm just a layman, so I'm not going to stay here and say, something's wrong, but that's the figure I look at. I'm wondering what happened with that $8 million. It wasn't included in that 5 that you've increased the taxes over the past 5 years. And you didn't. You didn't increase it, but you had the $8 million extra, which if you didn't have, would have made a big difference.
Well, let me address both points. To your first point, the size of the budget, that was never my point. My point was the size of the tax levy increase. I was addressing the narrative that says we're raising taxes like crazy over here and other organizations aren't. And I laid those numbers out there to show that the tax increases over here have been very small. 11.6% over 6 years is less than 2% a year in terms of tax levy increase. And that was the point I wanted to make. Now, with regard to your question about the solar, the surplus revenue from the bonding on a solar project, where that went, if you look at your tax bill every year, the total tax levy, you'll see in that total tax levy there's a general operating budget and a debt service. So during the years of 10, 11, because we work across the year, 10, 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, all that surplus went to pay debt service, and taxpayers of Lacey Township didn't pay a dime towards their debt service. So your taxes stayed low. Now last year that came out. Last year we had to begin paying it. Even with that payment, even with putting the debt service tax levy back in, our tax levy is still only up 12%.
Okay, if we didn't pay a dime, we bonded the $8 million, correct?
Yes, but you didn't pay it out of your tax rate at that time. So you were asking where it went. It went to pay the debt service, not just on the solar project and all the other things that went into it, like the boilers and the windows. It paid the debt service on this high school expansion that we're sitting in, and on the middle school, and everything that's been bonded in the last 20 years in Lacey.
Right, and now on that, just so that people understand, on that, let me put it how I can, the best way to put it. The architect overstated, didn't he, the price of the solar panels by $8 million? It only cost us $11 million to do it. That's how you got the 8.
The entire project came in, the bids came in much less than the number that was projected by the architect, sent to the state of New Jersey for approval at the Department of Community Affairs, sent to the state of New Jersey for approval at the Department of Education. As you recall, between the time that we put this out for the public for vote, where we had the number that was there, and the time we bid, we entered a recession where we had bidders that were bidding very low because they weren't getting any work, and the price of solar panels dropped. So that's why the bids came in significantly less, and we had a
so
surplus.
we had the surplus of the $8 million.
Yes.
Do the taxpayers realize that that extra $8 million of unnecessary debt is going to cost them $579,000 per year or $11.5 million over the next, over 20-year period
Oh,
in interest?
I don't know if
And
those numbers
principal?
are accurate. I would say two things. One, the debt service is 40% of that debt service is coming from the state of New Jersey, not from Lacey Township tax revenue. The other thing is that that money was used to pay debt now, so you can't say, well, you're going to be paying interest on that money in the future without accounting for the fact that that money was used to pay off debt now. I mean, the net present value of that money is $8 million, but you're not paying now on that $8 million for the next 20 years on the other projects.
Okay. My next question, like I said, I'm just a layman here.
Yeah.
You paid your architect 7.5% of that $8 million as a architectural fee. Why?
That was the negotiated contract rate for those services. For the services involved with surveying 6 buildings.
Which he
Coming up-
over-surveyed by $8 million.
Now, you're asking what the money was for. I'm telling you what the money was for. It was to survey the 6 buildings, to develop the plans for each of those 6 buildings, to put solar panels on the roof, do the electrical connections, to survey the Fork River School and figure out how we're going to replace 2 early 1900s boilers with a modern heating system, to do the design work for that and put together a bid package, to do the work for the windows and the doors at the other schools, to do the work for the roofs, put those bid packages together, and when the bids came in, go through reviewing those bids and do all that work. That goes into a project the size of the one we did.
He also has to hire consultants to.
That was, and that ended up at $19 million,
Right,
correct?
he also hires an, electrical consultant,
It's-
a
it's-
window
but it's-
consultant.
Yeah, it's not just an
Solar
architect, it's,
consultant.
you
It
know,
still ended up only costing $11 million, correct?
that's
out of
what
the
the bids
19
came in,
million?
11 point
So we
something.
still paid them for the $8 million that you used for the debit service. We still paid them over $400,000 in commissions because I'm not saying overflated, because
Mr. Moss,
he was too high of a
we
bid.
negotiated a contract with the architect prior to the bids being let out.
We negotiated
Prior.
a price based on the
Prior
scope of the
to.
job.
Has this ever happened with the same architect again since then?
We
Where you were
haven't-
way over budget on
We
what he said
haven't-
it was?
Well, we've done a lot of projects with this architect, and we haven't had any issues with him.
Well, you got one big one here. He made $400,000
And
on the $8
and
million.
Mr. Martin, I just explained to you the reasons behind that.
And he performed the work that we contracted for him to do. He designed all the work that you see on the roofs and in the Fork River School, and he delivered the bid packages, and we were able to use those bid packages to get bids and execute the job.
But he is the one that said it cost $19 million, correct?
Him
He and
together
the
with
state
his-
of New Jersey did, yes.
Well, the state of New Jersey did, because you told them this is what your architect wants.
No, the state of New
Oh,
Jersey
oh.
reviewed the plans and
You gotta remember, when
specifications.
we did this, there were other projects going on at the time that were going in the rate of roughly $10 a watt, $11 a watt. You know, the estimate from the people that are in the solar business, Metro Energy, that worked with the consultant, was it was gonna be in the $9 a watt range, and we used as an estimate $8.80 a watt, which was the going rate at that time for projects like this. There was no way to foresee that a year later, the price would drop to $5.41 a watt. I mean, we used, in our estimate of what the job would cost, we used the going rate at the time for solar panels. And for putting a new boiler in and for, for labor. I mean, solar panels weren't the only place that came in under bid. For example, Fork River School, the boiler replacement project came in low because the people doing that kind of work in the middle of the recession, there were companies that were hungry for work and they were bidding just to get money to pay their expenses, to keep paying the loans on their trucks and that kind of thing. So we had actually, when we were doing the Fork River School, one of the guys that I know in town I ran into, who's a union carpenter, came in and said, I'm glad you did this project because I haven't worked in 8 months and this is the first time I'm working and I don't have to burn more than a gallon of gas to get to work. So we actually benefited on the labor part of it as well as the decrease in solar panel costs in terms of the bids coming in low. And again, in the spring of 2008, when we put this together and we sent it to the state for review, nobody foresaw the economic crisis that we were about to go into. And that greatly impacted the cost. It was great for Lacey. I mean, the project came in under budget. It came in at a lot less than schools that did the project the year before were doing.
Okay, that's all I had on that. Just one more question for the lawyer. Have you found out yet if that
Mr. Stein.
company that cheated us stole from us?
You're asking me about the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Yes, sir.
I have now written to them twice, and I think the third letter is going out to them. I dictated the third letter. it's not a surprise to me, because it's taken me in previous attempts to have contact with them, multiple attempts to get a response.
Okay, you're still working on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Mr.
that's all
Moss,
I have.
may I? I just have a couple of comments. Thanks for your input, I appreciate it. I just want to make sure I get this straight. First, on the solar project. You're here discussing and asking questions about a project that we completed on time, under budget. It's decreased our energy costs across the board since its inception. We're generating revenue that's saving taxpayers money and reducing taxes on our taxpayers. And the money that we saved, because the architect did a tremendous job on the project, we gave back to the taxpayers over a 3-year period. Is that the same project that you're asking questions about right now?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, back to Mr. Martinek's comments last month. And he answered this part of it, but I'll repeat it. He never brought up the fact or never questioned that the largest portion of the tax base in our township and every other township across the state of New Jersey is the school district. We are fully aware of that. Okay? We can't control the fact that we have a greater responsibility than anybody else, any other governmental entity in our town. We have a greater responsibility than all of them. And we do a pretty good job of it. What Mr. Martinek's point was, and what my point's going to be now, is that if you look at the 6 to 7 year period that he illustrated and showed everybody last month, we've done a better job at managing the money that we're responsible for than anybody else. And that's the bottom line. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, that's all I have.
But thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak tonight? Yes.
Regina DeSenza, Sunset Drive, Sunrise Beach. As a parent in this district with a student in the high school, I'd like to extend my thanks to all who executed the sniff and sweep of the high school last week, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff, the Lacey Police Department, the K-9 units. It was a tremendous effort to get that done, and if the sweep saves one life or deters one student from drug use, it was worth it. A friend of mine this past week showed me a copy of an obituary that she had clipped from the Asbury Park Press many years ago, and I'd like to read the first paragraph. Alex, 22, of Marlboro, died Friday, August 31st at home. He was a good son who loved everyone. He didn't deserve to die when the wicked drug heroin took his life. He fought addiction for at least 2 years and was in and out of rehab, always trying to get better. He had many talents, but was still searching for the one interest to guide his life. The parents had set up a memorial trust fund at their church so that other people who are on drugs can get help. No one should ever have to write an obituary like this, and the district needs to keep the high school safe and do whatever it takes, and I hope the program gets underway very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other members of the community that would like to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none. We're going to move on to item F. I'm going to ask for a motion at this time. This is a public hearing, and I'd like a motion for the opening of the public hearing with reference to the adoption of random testing of student substance abuse. I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
That was Bruce. Mr. Carney, excuse me. Roll call?
Mrs. Torello.
Yes.
Mr. Martinek.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quest.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. At this time, an opportunity is offered for residents of the community to make public comment relating to adoption of policy P 5536 and regulation R 5536 for random testing for student alcohol or other drug use. Anybody wish to come forward and speak at this time? Yes.
I don't have a specific comment, but just for the public's knowledge, there's about 10 people in the room and no one's coming forward.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak at this time as it pertains to this public hearing? Seeing none?
Mr. Schuberger, can I
yes,
just- can I
Mr.
just-
Stein,
can I
thank
just
you.
comment that a public notice went out concerning this public hearing, which went to the two official newspapers. It was posted on the district's website. It was sent to the municipal clerk's office. It was posted in all the locations where we post, the district posts for public announcements. So every reasonable effort to publicize the fact that there was a public hearing on the adoption of this policy and regulation was made in good faith by the district.
Thank you, Mr. Stein, and I will add to that, if I may, not only all of that, but this board, the administration, has been working on the development of this policy for several months, and the administration has made great efforts to provide the community, parents, staff, students, many opportunities to provide comment and input on this policy. And we've had some good input. It just so happens that at this time tonight, we had one person to come forward and speak about it, and I appreciate your comments. May I have a motion to close the public hearing with reference to the adoption of random testing of student substance abuse?
Move.
Second.
Move to close.
And a roll call, please?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quest.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schuberger.
Yes. On to item G, excuse me, board comments. Mr. Carney.
Vice President Schuberger. It's December, I'll be quick. I'd like to congratulate the students that were honored here tonight. Also like to congratulate Mr. Savage and his staff for another outstanding audit report. I don't think we've had anything but a favorable audit report for as long as I've been here.
Not true.
So, well, but again, great job by you and your staff, so congratulations. Mr. Quist, they say all good things must come to an end. And I know you agonized over this decision, but I just really want to thank you for always being there. When I came on as a new board member, you were always there to answer some probably stupid questions I asked you, and I appreciate your help. And as past president, you've always been there. We could always count on you. So thank you. And thank your family for sharing you with us. So, and I'll just end with wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. Mr. Martinak.
Thank you, President Schuberger. I, too, would like to congratulate Sarah, Alexis, Tyler, and Thomas. And I'd also like to particularly thank our administration, as well as the Lacey Township Police Department and the other police departments that cooperated in the drug dog event, I guess you'd call it, on Wednesday. It certainly, I think, it's not the solution to all our problems, but it certainly is one tool of many that the prosecutor, the police department in Lacey, police departments in other parts of Ocean County, and the school district are using to work together, along with the township, the municipal alliance. There's not one action that's a panacea, but I think all agencies are pulling out the stops to do what we can to attack this horrible problem. Obviously, two of those actions are what you saw last week, cooperating with the prosecutor in the drug dog search, and what we're going to do here tonight with the random drug testing policy. So again, I'd like to thank everybody who's worked hard on both those issues to make this happen this week. And also, Mr. Quist, it's hard to say farewell. We're going to miss you. Like Mr. Carney here, when I was a new member, Mr. Quist had some words of wisdom on what to do and not to do and why we do things the way we do. And he's always been kind of the quiet guy down there, or the quiet guy in the meeting that every once in a while comes out with some great insight that makes you say, wow, never looked at it that way. And he's also been the even keel guy here. You rarely see him get fired up and yelling, and he's been a pleasure to work with, and we're going to miss you and your insights and your wit. So best of luck to you.
Thank
And on that note, I just would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Really?
Well done, Mr. Martinak. How long did you practice that, by the way?
How to get the time.
Stealing my moves.
I know. You passing the baton?
Yeah.
Mrs. Terrell?
Thank you. Boy, it's like a mixed bag tonight. You know, it's sad because Mr. Quist is he is leaving us, and it is sad, because he was like the elder statesman, right?
I'll go for that.
With grace and wit, he helped guide us along, and he did. He works very hard, and he's very humble, and he's very quiet about it, because he, along with myself and other board members, he had to help make very tough decisions. And so I thank you for all of that, your grace and wit. You're going to be sorely missed. Come visit, please, please. I'm impressed by the middle school. That's just fabulous. We get to share all this good news about not just our seniors that are always impressive that come before us, but how many of our middle school students had straight A's or on the honor roll. That's very impressive. And we will keep looking at new ways to help all students succeed in this district. And you've heard us talk about many of them. And this year we've been very focused on the drug issue that our students have been suffering with, parents have been agonizing over, and our community has come together. And this has been a work in progress over the last couple of years. But not only did we add 2 substance abuse counselors in the last year, we've also added to our security force. We've added to different ways to help give students another way to say no and to look at another way to live their life. And so we'll just keep looking at all different approaches. We've had community forums on this issue too. Feel free to share any of your comments with the superintendent about new ways, new ideas to help save our kids. But we're going to use every tool in the toolbox. And lots of hours went into all of these programs, including the new policies. Lots of meetings, behind-the-scene meetings, talking about each and every word, making sure we're being consistent and the language is clear, and so on and so on. Plus, there were public forums. This is not the only opportunity the public's had to speak on this issue. So we tried and will continue to try on all these important issues to get as much public input as possible. And we're open to all ideas on how to deal with this issue. And Seniors of the Month, it's always great. We had 4, which is great because we also had VOTEC this month, which is wonderful. I just wish he brought us in something to eat. So we'll have to follow his career because I always appreciate the culinary arts. And Sarah, the unsung hero, it's always nice to see how people contribute without looking for that pat on the back or looking for the award, but they're always contributing. And we see how our students do it all the time. You heard about them doing the food drive, and that's constant around the holidays, and the toy drive. So I thank our high schoolers for all that they do for our community, and I wish that everybody has a very happy and safe holiday and New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Trella. I'm going to go to Mrs. Downey next.
All right. I just also would like to congratulate Sarah, Thomas, Alexis, and Tyler on their achievements as Student of the Month and Unsung Hero. I'd like to thank Mr. Savage and his staff for another outstanding, great job. Thank you. Also like to congratulate all the students who have been performing in the last couple of weeks for the holiday shows and holiday concerts. Takes a lot of practice, and congratulate them for a great job. I'll leave Mr. Quist for last here. Also, the prosecutor's drug search, it was a successful morning. I want to thank Dr. Clark and your staff for organizing and getting that to be done, so to speak. A lot of people I have talked to after that, they were very thrilled to see that that had happened. We also have the random drug. I just wish there were more people here tonight to speak about it, pros or cons. So I'm going to assume it's a con because there's no one here to dispute us. But the whole purpose of the drugs, the random drug testing and for the prosecutor's office to be here. The bottom line, the main reason is to save lives. Ocean County, Lacey Township, no matter whether your head's in the sand or looking straight at it, there's a problem, and we need to address it. And if we can save just one life, then it's been successful. And Mr. Quist, my dear friend for 21 years, I just want to wish you all the best. We're going to really miss you. You are a very humble, as Mrs. Torella said, man. You're a team player, and you are like E.F. Hutton. Very quiet man, but when he speaks, he has a lot to say. We're going to miss you dearly, and it's going to be a big loss not having you here because you always put kids first. Going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Downing. I'm going to go next, Mr. Quist, and I'm going to kick it back to you, if you don't mind. No. Okay. First, I want to thank all of our students who were here tonight getting honored, and throughout the district. In our superintendent's report, we get to read each and every month. Thank you for reminding us every month why what we do up here as a board is very rewarding to us. You never cease to amaze all of us as young people, and we wish to see you continue to succeed while you're here in Lacey. We know you will. Mrs. Downing, I'm going to have to echo, well, a lot of you, my fellow board members, but you said a few things that I was actually going to directly say, so we're on the same wavelength. Regarding our recent efforts between the search of the high school with our dogs from the prosecutor's office just this past week, and our continued efforts with getting a random drug testing policy implemented, I think it's important to just reiterate that student performance and having our students here in the school district is certainly paramount. We want to see them succeed academically, socially, and just the whole experience as a student. But not to be in any way, it's no less important, probably just as important to me as a father of three myself, that we have a great responsibility here in Lacey to ensure that all of these children, 4,600 and change, get to and from school each and every day in a safe manner, and that while they're in our district, in our school buildings, that they are safe. I think we cannot really overstate that at all. It's just as important. So anything that we can do as a board, and I think my colleagues here have shown that they believe this as well. We're going to do everything we can that the whole experience while these children are under our supervision is a good experience, and that our parents feel confident that we are providing a great experience for their students, for their children. So I think that is the real message here. Ms. DeSenza, you commented on, if I may, that you were the only person who commented on in our public hearing. And I'm just as surprised, to be honest with you, because I'm hearing a lot of people have a lot to say, but they don't want to come here and say it at the meeting. So again, we always welcome comment. I disagree on occasion with people. We try to be as professional as possible. We stake our claim, we make our argument, but we want people here to have that discourse. It's very important to us. And Mr. Quist, perhaps one of the most genuine and sincere people I've ever met. I think I have the opportunity to coach several sports with my kids and their friends at the youth level, and we all talk about the old adage, there's no I in team. Well, there's no I in school board either, and I think he illustrates that for 21 years. We disagree up here. In public here, we've done it. We've voted on things differently. Behind closed doors, we disagree. But what we have to remember as a community is that whatever this school board does, it's as a body, as one body, and we have to own it together, collectively. And people remind us of it, and that's okay. Regardless of how we all voted, what we all thought at the time, it was a board decision, and that's how it should be. And I'm just fine with that. So, Mr. Quist, best of luck to you. I'm going to kick it over to you. I hope that's okay.
That's
I
okay.
wanted you to have the last word, and I wanted to get that last. I couldn't do it as good as Mr. Martinek, but so thank you, sir. It was an honor to serve with you, and the floor is yours.
You guys, first of all, congratulations to the students of the month, and great audit report. The random drug testing, I think that's all positive things moving in the right direction. Being fair-haired, you know, you just can't hold your blood pressure down. And when you guys are talking about me, you know, I'm trying to keep my blood pressure down, and it's not working, so thanks for embarrassing me. You know, when I first got here, we had absolutely no experience, did we? None. And I've come to learn that experience is something you don't get until just after you need it. Think about it. I thought about who to thank, and I'm going to thank everybody. And you know who you are. All you guys, the staff, the board members, the custodian, everybody, you guys know who you are. And I just thank you for the experience. And I agree with the comment that this is a 7-person board on one small cog in a 7-member machine. And you know, there's a couple words: compromise, consistency, and if you think about it, life in general, I'll just preach one and I'll be quiet. When all is said and done, and all the arguments have been put on a table and debated, it really isn't hard to do the right thing. And I hope I've been true to myself, true to the students here in Lacey, true to the residents of the town. And I just can't believe that you guys elected me 7 times. I really enjoyed the ride. We had our ups and downs, we had our storms, but man, we had some great times too. Some great accomplishments. So again, I want to thank you for having faith in me to serve on this public entity, and I'm going to miss it. Bittersweet, as I've told most of you guys. But thanks again. I really appreciate the kind words from everybody tonight. And I would just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, for those of you who celebrate Christmas. And I would like to say, just remember, there was a billboard up in Times Square that said, "Who needs Christ in Christmas?" And it was nobody. Well, you know what? The first word in Christmas happens to be Christ. So if you celebrate Christmas, celebrate the Savior, okay? So at that I'll say Merry Christmas to all as I ride out tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Quist. Again. I'd like to also just finish my comments by saying it's been a great year, 2013, for our students, most importantly. And I want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. And next time we see you, it'll be 2014. So if there are no other comments at this time from the board, I'm going to move on to new business. On to page 62. Items A through M. May I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney. Yes. Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. On to page 66. Item 2, donations. An obstacle course grant award from the Plymouth Rock Assurance to the Fork River School, $995.58. A fabulous fraction grant award from the Plymouth Rock Assurance to the Fork River School in the amount of $765.70. 4 handheld radios from the Fork River PTA to the Fork River School in the amount of $660. 2 miscellaneous games for recess carts from Mr. and Mrs. Papa to the Cedar Creek School in the amount of $20, value of $20. 12 boxes of miscellaneous school supplies from Walmart of Lacey to the Lenoka Harbor School in the amount of $949. 2 Sportline pedometers, that's Sportsline pedometers, from Walmart of Lacey to the Mill Pond School with a value of $35. 1 gift card to the Student Government Association from the ShopRite of Lacey to the middle school with a value of $50. And 1 donation check from the Lacey Middle School, PTC, to the middle school in the amount of $100. May I have a motion?
Move.
Second?
And a roll call, please.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. On to page 67, item 3, programs and curriculum. I have a motion on item A, please.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. On to page 68, item 4, professional days. I have a motion for item A, please.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Staying on page 68, item number 5, use of facilities. May I have a motion for item A, use of facilities?
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Page 69, item 6, certificated personnel. May I have a motion for items A through H, please?
Move.
Second.
And a roll call.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. On to page 71, item number 7, support non-certificated staff personnel. May I have a motion for items A through F?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And a roll call.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Are there any additional items?
Hey, just so Jim has one now.
Okay, Mr. Savage? What?
I request a motion for the Board of Education to join in a cooperative pricing agreement, the Hunterdon County Educational Services Commission, per their pricing agreement.
Now a motion, please.
Move it.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. And Mr. Stein, I believe you have another motion.
I have a second one.
I'm sorry, Jim, I thought that was, there's 2 total. Forgot.
I would like to make a motion, or request a motion to approve a contract through the Hunterdon County Educational Services Commission through their cooperative pricing agreement to purchase or to replace the exterior football field bleachers through a company called Degler Whiting Inc. from Fraser, Pennsylvania, in the amount of hold on one second. $386,675.
Motion, please.
Move it.
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. I'll second.
No, I should have asked you for a question.
I apologize, but I'll second it. But, Mr. Savage, now this contract, this was actually already put through a bid process through the Hunterdon County Educational Service. Could you just clarify that?
Yes. What they did is they went out to bid and for the service, and we are, as a public agency, allowed to join their co-op and get in on their bid, just like a state contract or a federal contract. If you remember, in years past, we've joined other co-ops we did the indoor bleachers here in the high school, but we've also joined co-ops for other purchases too, Promethean boards, other things. So that what it does, it saves you the cost of hiring an architect.
and putting bid specs together and getting the cost of going out to bid. And so in other words, we're really piggybacking on these other public agencies.
And so was this the best bid?
Yes, I did get another one that was over 400,000. Actually, if you want me to look for it, I think it was around 430.
I just wanted to clarify for the,
Yeah, there was the one for about 430,000 that I received, but this one was the best price I could get.
thank you.
And I've worked with this company before, very good company. And if you've taken a look at our bleachers over at the football field, they're in rarely bad shape.
Thank you.
Mr. Savas, before we're at the roll call stage, right?
Yes.
Oh, so that means I'm next. How old are those bleachers?
They're original 1980.
Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Now, am I going to interrupt you again, Mr. Savage, or is it Mr. Stein's turn?
Mr. Stein's turn.
All right.
Thank you. I request the board adopt a motion, move that the board approve the following leave of absence: Sandy Lear Cecere, teacher, unpaid leave without benefits, effective date December 16, 2013 through January 31, 2014.
Motion, please.
Move.
Second.
And roll call?
Mrs. Terrell.
Yes.
Mr. Marnak.
Yes.
Mr. Carney.
Yes.
Mr. Quist.
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes.
Mr. Schubager.
Yes. Are there any other items? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second?
Second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
This
Mr.
meeting's
Quist would love
adjourned.
to stay.
Mr. Quist, want to adjourn?
Yes.